It was supposed to promote the country as a premier tourist destination, but the government's new slogan, Love the Philippines, got flack for allowing an ad agency to use stock videos of other countries in its presentation. A former tourism secretary is calling for accountability, while a lawmaker seeks a congressional inquiry on the matter to help the tourism department move forward from the debacle. Despite the criticisms, the Love the Philippines slogan is apparently here to stay.
None of this has served to dampen our spirit. None of this has served to diminish the beauty of our country, and none of these trials and difficulties will prevent us from claiming our rightful place as a tourism powerhouse in Asia.
Good evening, I'm Ruth Cabal sitting in for Pia Antiveros. Welcome to your weekly political appointment fix, politics as usual. Tourism Secretary Cristina Frasco has terminated the department's contract with DDB Philippines, which was tasked to handle the 49 million peso new campaign. Former Tourism Secretary Richard Gordon says DDB Philippines should have been allowed to correct its own mistake after apologizing for the use of stock footage of other countries. Gordon also wants accountability for the fiasco.
Kailangan dito talaga, let's really jolt the department. Let's jolt all the other agencies. This is a very, very bitter lesson to learn. And dapat kay internal, external, hindi ako naniniwala doon. We will forgive what we will not forget, and they must pay for the damages to a certain extent. And also I ask, what happened to our people in tourism?
Gordon thinks Love the Philippines is a great slogan because it can be linked to any destination. Our first guest for tonight, Albay 2nd District Representative Joey Salceda. Good evening to you, sir, and glad to have you with us.
Yeah, good evening, Ruth.
You're among the first critics of the new slogan, and you already said that you want to have it changed, but now the DOT is keeping it. Your reaction to that?
Well, first, I think they must have one focus group discussion. I would like to see that. An eminent persons group, then a test marketing, and a UAI survey after that. And I think that's the scientific way to do it. Of course, I'm not a creative, so I leave it really to the expert. That's why I want an eminent persons group to look at it. But we will not commit the same mistake.
Of course, kasi kung we don't know yung nangyari while they were trying to produce the ad, Congressman. Pero syempre, we would expect sana na dumaan sa ganong proseso. So how do you moving forward, how do you want it to be changed, or you say something further studies, ganon?
Dalawa, two-prong. One, we must really, accountability definitely is a must. And therefore, I think there's too much static in the air. And I've looked at documents, other people are producing new documents, and therefore I think the only venue there really is either a committee hearing, either a joint committee hearing by the House and the Senate on Committee on Tourism, basically. But we could look at, the entire process and where mistakes were made, and so we could learn from it and then move forward. We cannot just brush it aside and just say, okay, we're keeping love the Philippines.
You mentioned about wanting to look at certain documents. What did you hear? Kasi may kumakalat din sa social media about some other people or some other officials coming in and then during the process of the production of the ads.
No, I'm more after really, the bidding process. Essentially, of course, there is a beauty contest there, a beauty pageant essentially between, the bidders.
Yes.
The invitation to the bidders. I mean, was the invitation given to only two qualified bidders, and who were their local partners, and that is not being that's not being discussed right now.
Okay, aside from that, do you also want to look at the claim? There are also claims by One Cebu. It's a group of the local officials of Cebu that it's political sabotage targeted against the tourism secretary.
You mean to say a suicide?
not suicide, but there are some groups that apparently
Because
are.
I
Yeah.
couldn't see how it can happen without, because I think definitely the mere fact that it was DOT who asked for the veto, because
Yes.
originally there was already a provision there that cannot
Yes.
be used for rebranding. So I cannot. I mean, it's very difficult to sort of concede that point.
But on the part of DOT, binanggit nyo na rin, no, yung veto, parang yung, kasi wala naman talaga sa provision dun sa budget that there should be funds allotted for a new slogan or a new tourism campaign, pero na-veto nga yun ni President Marcos. Parang yung dating ba, Congressman, I told
It
you...
was upon the request.
Yeah, of the DOT, no? Pero para bang I told you so yung dating nito? That we...
Hindi naman.
Yeah,
I mean, every secretary has, of course, he will be accountable for the performance of his tasks, and he believes that the rebranding is necessary. Then I think he should be given that opportunity, or as well as that authority. So I guess if it's in your best judgment, that it is what is required, because 12 years na rin naman yung It's More Fun in the Philippines. So I think a relaunch or a rebranding probably is already the right thing to do right now.
The one that I was asking you earlier, can I go back to that, Congressman?
Yes.
Kasi ang kumalat is yung parang may kinalaman daw si Presidential Advisor Paul Soriano doon sa final na production ng ad.
Kaya kailangan talaga ng isang congressional hearing para there is one venue which is not necessarily adversarial. Alam naman pumunta ka ng NBI, ng Korte, etc., or a COA, or an ombudsman. I'd rather let's set the case facts straight first.
So this is something that you also want to look at if there is someone else or another group behind the ad.
No, I will not. I will not be pointing at anybody. I'd rather say I'd rather have the case facts straight, and therefore move from there.
As for the accountability of the DOT itself or maybe officials in charge...
That can be established during the hearing.
So even the DOT officials, you will investigate, or they will be included among those that will be investigated?
They will be there to present their side.
Aside
Kasi
from...
right now, of course, the environment is very adversarial to them.
And aside from yung sinasabi niyo pong investigation, do you also formally, will you do this during the budget deliberations, or will you file a resolution?
There are only 19 days before the first session day, the first, right after the SONA. So since it's not a new Congress, it's a new session. So definitely the committee can immediately go to work and just settle this all together.
After the SONA. But there has to be a formal resolution kasi to investigate, di ba, Kong?
Well, anybody can file that now.
Okay.
Even while we're not in session.
Pero hindi po kayo muna ang magpa-file nun?
Para kasi sa akin, my position there really is, of course, the exclusion of Mayon, which led to, seriously doubt whether that such an exclusion arose from a lazy job being done by the contracting agency, and it was proven to be right after all.
Siguro moving forward, aside from the investigation, ano yung nakikita niyong iba pang possible changes to the whole the ad, or may suggestion ba kayo, because na-mention nyo na rin nga yung
Hindi
una
kasi ako creative. Definitely, kasi kaya sabi ko, let's go to a focus discussion. Let's do an imminent persons group. Let's do a test marketing with usage attitude and image survey. So probably we can come up with a correct product. Pero before all that, kasi you need consultations, di ba? Ano naman iba-brand mo kung wala kang produkto? So, I mean, branding is a fool's exercise if you don't have a product in the first place.
Yes. So parang look at yung binanggit nyo na rin to look at how to define the
then suddenly
product.
get stuck in the airport. Diba? With all the cancellations, kasi right now our airports are really, are bursting the seams because before the pandemic we had 39 million passengers. Right now we're doing 43 million.
Yes.
So way above. So it's already above That's why you
Capacity.
yung CAAP is trying to rearrange all sorts of arrangements just to accommodate, and sometimes there's just too many cancellations, too many delays, and therefore how can you love the Philippines? So there will be dysfunctional or a disequilibrium between what the brand is promising and what the tourists will be experiencing.
Okay, let's talk more about those issues outside of the slogan. We'll just take a quick break and we'll be back after this. Keep it here on CNN Philippines. Welcome back. This is Politics as Usual. We still have with us Albay 2nd District Representative Joey Salceda. We're talking about the new tourism slogan fiasco. Congressman, let me just go back to what you said. How can you love the Philippines? And you mentioned the issue about the airports, the flight cancellations. What other aspects of tourism do you want to focus on that should be addressed?
May 6 A's yung PCCI, even before that, di ba? We're trying accommodation, arrivals, activities, amenities, ancillary services. So we need to fill in the gaps. Then there are a lot of gaps in all the 6 A's. And right now, airlines and airports definitely there's a lot of gap there already. The experience there really is not love the Philippines, but tolerate the Philippines.
Tolerate the Philippines. Yung isa pang sinasabi nga, connected to love the Philippines, nauwi na daw po sa leave the Philippines.
Hindi naman. There's so much to be discovered in this country, especially its people. I mean, there's something very special about Filipinos. Not just the Philippines. It's about the Filipinos, really, about being very caring. It's a special quality about us. That's why, we're the preferred nurses, we're the preferred caretakers, we're the preferred, being a country, it's so resilient, and therefore you are in the Pacific Ring of Fire, you are in the earthquake belt of the world, you are the doormat of climate change and typhoons. So, I mean, it has given us a certain national character, which is really very endearing to foreigners, So I think that is probably the best asset, and you probably have to love the Filipinos.
But Congressman, this is not the first time that this happened. Kasi in the past, di ba, when we're coming out with new slogans for DOT, nagkaroon na ng sinasabi, may mga ginaya sa ibang ads. Pero it keeps happening eh. Parang how can we resolve, how can this not happen again?
Yung naman kasi, it took 2 years for It's a More Fun in the Philippines to arise from the mistake of the Filipinos kay ganda, and that kind of slogan of selling the Philippines to an Egyptian in Tagalog.
Yes.
So it was really surprising. And then it took us 2 years to relaunch under It's More Fun the Philippines, which is actually one of the best slogans because it had 8.96% increase over 12 years consistently pre-pandemic, compared to our Philippines, which is only 5.76% annual growth rate. But
Hindi lang slogan.
Yung slogan, but there are so many other things that come with it, and it's very difficult to sort of, it has to come in a package, so to speak, and there are so many other factors that impinge on the success of a particular marketing campaign.
Okay, thank you very much to Congressman Salceda for your insights. And our next guest is the president of Agents International Public Relations, Alan Herman. Good evening to you, Alan.
Hi again, Ms. Ruth. Always a pleasure and a privilege to dialogue with you.
Let's not go direct muna to the controversy itself, but yung mismong slogan, as someone who is a persuasion specialist, the slogan itself or the tagline itself, Love the Philippines, what do you think about it?
I will have to admit, and this is purely my personal take on it, when it was first unveiled, I was quite underwhelmed, but I was definitely willing to give it a chance. Underwhelmed, I say underwhelmed because, as a brander, as a persuasion guy, our barometer is always IDEAL, IDEAL, which is insight, definition, experience, activation, and longevity. For me, yung Love the Philippines, it did not quite give me enough insight because it was too generic. Love the Philippines. Definitely on the D side, definition. It wasn't focusing on a particular dominant selling idea or unique trait of the country. Well, obviously pasado siya sa experience because
Yeah.
I mean foreigners and even locals experience love in the Philippines and they do
Emotion.
come out loving our country. So I was waiting for it to be activated in the long run. So again, I was a bit underwhelmed. I was like a bit generic, a bit plain vanilla. But I was excited to see how they were going to develop it and how they were going to activate it, and ultimately the various ways they would spin it and make it more interesting and palatable to the public.
As a practicing, what do I call you, a PR specialist, sinabi mo na nga, a persuasion specialist,
Yeah.
siguro, you know how these things are done. Kausap namin si Congressman said earlier, he was saying dapat may may focus group discussion, may test marketing. For a company like DDB, who's been there for like 30, tinignan ko yung profile, 30 years, how can they commit such what they call an unfortunate oversight?
Well, first, again, let me emphasize and let me really, I cannot emphasize enough how mighty of a pillar DDB Philippines is in the advertising space. No, they are a credible, exceptional, outstanding agency. I'm sure they did extensive market research. I'm sure they did as is committed in their contract. No. And DDB does not take shortcuts, at least as far as I know. They would have definitely done the research, done the legwork, gotten the insights, did the UAIs and the FGDs in coming up and crafting with this campaign. Now, as far as this oversight or this mood video thing is concerned, if I'm being very, very honest with you, Ms. Ruth, it stretches credulity. I cannot imagine how they would make a mood video. Mood videos are indeed standard. These are standard practice in the industry, especially if you're making a pitch for an account. But to use another product in your mood video, that's wow. I can't wrap my head around that. My analogy is you're pitching for the account of a popular fast food joint, and you make a mood video and you use the products of its competitor. I don't know. I can't wrap my head around it.
It's supposed to be an ad nga, yun nga, introducing the country. So how can you introduce the country using yung stock videos, all the more pa from other countries, no? So pag ganito, saan kaya? Where's the mistake? Who should be accountable?
I would let's take at face value DDB's statement that this was meant to be an internal mood video, that this was a what we call a peg. That's actually the more used term. No, it's a peg. Siguro nagkamali in the sense that it was aired publicly. I don't know how that happened. I don't know whose oversight that was. How it was posted. If it was meant to be an internal mood video to just excite and infuse people with ideas and imagination, then the person who or the person responsible for making it public and definitely showing it at the launch really dropped the ball on that one. Kasi kung mood video lang yan, pitch video, understood in the industry, raw pa yan. Hindi pa yan yung final product. So again, giving DDB the benefit of the doubt, if it is a mood video, a peg video, it never should have been shown in public. But again, I scratch my head why they would use footages of other products, so to speak, for their mood video.
And it was launched in a big event, yung anniversary ng DOT with the president himself, no less. No. But ano yung assessment mo? Mahirap ba yung ganitong proseso? Kasi in the past, no, yung ibang ad campaigns natin, nagkaroon na rin ng issues na kinopya daw sa ibang bansa, di ba? Even yung mga theme or yung storyline. In coming up with a brand or with something new to reintroduce the country, is that so hard? I mean, yung effort na pagdadaanan?
Well, absolutely. There's a whole process to it. The difficulty really lies in the fact that what hasn't been said under the sun to sell a country, right? There's how many countries in the world, and all of them are trying to entice tourist dollars, people to visit their locales, no? So the difficulty really lies in, again, getting that perfect blend of insight, definition, experience to be able to activate your campaign and your big idea, and longevity to stand the test of time. I mean, the quick answer to your question, Ms. Ruth, is mahirap. Mahirap na trabaho yan. That's why when Love the Philippines first came out, like I said, I was a bit underwhelmed. I said, ay parang shortcut. Love na agad. Dapat niligawan ko muna bago ko minahal. Dapat binigyan muna natin ng reason yung turista para mapansin tayo or to even make us a point of consideration to visit bago yung love. For me, parang na-shortcut or na-short circuit, in fact, is the word I'd use, no? Yung journey, the customer journey was short-circuited. I went straight to love. But knowing how difficult the process is and knowing what agencies, the challenges agencies face, and knowing that the data will back up their work, or at least confident, trusting that the data will back up their work, I was really willing to give it a chance.
Okay. We'll hear more from our guest when we return. This is Politics as Usual. You're still with Politics as Usual when we're on our final stretch. Let's get the final word from our guest persuasion specialist, Alan Herman. Alan, so binanggit mo na kanina, no, parang na-shortcut yung proseso and then sana nanligaw muna. No? And even there are a lot of other lawmakers calling it a deception, yung nangyari with the ads. And then sabi ni Senator Nancy Binay, love was not meant to be. So, but we're here now. So, love the Philippines. So, what do we do? The DOT is keeping the slogan.
Again, personally, I think it was a great idea to keep the slogan. Isn't that what love is all about? Diba? I would spin it. I'm a spin doctor. Diba? They call me a spin doctor in circles. I would spin it in such a way that isn't that what love is all about? Diba? Love is about overcoming the humps and the bruises and the bumps, and loving something despite setbacks, momentary setbacks. That's how I would spin it, and I would really move forward by following the 4R rule. Yun lang naman yun, di ba? At the end of the day, let's follow 4R, regret. That has been expressed. Then responsibility. The person who is responsible should take accountability for it, as Congressman Joey Salceda said, no? Hanapin natin kung sino talaga yung nagkamali dyan at managot. And then restitution. Kung may perang nabayad, ibalik. Let's make restitution to the Filipino people. And then the last R is reform. Let's make sure that if we're keeping the slogan and we're using Love Philippines moving forward, and I think that's the right decision, let's really get, if it's a new agency, let's really explode that concept, make it beautiful, make the applications really engaging, and really hit the heart, because that's where love emanates from. Diba?
Would it have been better, like yung suggestion is the former Senator Gordon and Tourism Secretary, for DDB to just have amended the ad na sana the contract wasn't terminated?
Well, sa totoo lang, again, DDB being who they are, no, an award-winning agency, let's not forget this is one video. A video does not make the entire campaign. I'm sure, I mean, the 49 million pesos that the contract was meant for market research, campaign idea, key visuals, and a fully developed long-term campaign. So, first step pa lang, natapilok tayo, but maybe DDB had some tricks up their sleeve that were really exciting, and now we'll never know. Okay. So, it is what it is. Maybe that's part of the 4R, di ba?
Okay.
Responsibility.
Thank you very much to our guest, Alan Herman. As we've been told before, don't talk politics at the dinner table or at a family reunion or in Viber groups, and risk warfare, digital or otherwise. But we can talk about it here at this table on this show. Your weekly political appointment fix, Politics as Usual. I'm Ruth Cabal. See you back here next Wednesday, 8 p.m. Good evening.